Welcome back to Morning Barbados, and from the village we are going to the world, and we have Dr. Dorothy Cook Johnson with us, and she is very excited about a specific event that's coming up. Tell us about it, Doc.
Yes, I want to tell you about, thanks for being here, it's lovely to be here again.
It's lovely to have you.
I want to tell you about the United Nations, because this year the United Nations is having a high-level summit, which is for the heads of government. So all of those people who control the world and the countries are going to be there. And this is a once-in-a-lifetime unique opportunity because they're going to be dealing with chronic diseases. It's the first time that they've ever done that. And we're hoping that the World Bank and the European banks and everyone will be there to listen to what is being said so that a big difference can be made for the chronic diseases in the same way that it was made for AIDS several years ago.
So is it specifically the chronic or the chronic non-communicable diseases?
Well, you know, they've got long names. It's chronic non-communicable diseases or chronic diseases. Yeah, it's the non-communicable diseases. Okay. And the four that they're going to concentrate on is cancer, and then it's diabetes, and then it's cardiovascular diseases such as heart and stroke, and then it's pulmonary conditions, asthma and obstructive diseases when one is, breathing.
So are you hoping then that they would start putting a lot more money into these four, or are you hoping specifically for the one that you're closest?
Well, I'm involved in two ways. First, the thrust is in relation to cancer, so that we can give as much stimulus there. So I'm dealing with the American Cancer Society and the International Union Against Cancer. But locally we have a health coalition, which is for the Caribbean. So we must back that and make sure that that gets notice, because funds, when they come, are not just going to go to cancer or to heart. They're going to probably come to the Caribbean. And we want to be able to access them, so we want to make as much noise and be as visible as possible. So I'm really trying to make cancer very visible, and also we need to make the chronic diseases, the non-communicable chronic diseases in Barbados and the Caribbean. And this is the way we're doing it. It's really in relation, this one, I've got several thrusts, but this one is in relation to the American Cancer Society. They have chosen from countries all over the world what they've called Global Cancer Ambassadors. And I have that title, which sounds terrific. and I hope that everything, I'm anxious to see what will happen, but they're going to take us around the UN and show us how the votes are done and train us as to how to present cases. And what they would like us to do is to collect, in this case, stories from people who have either witnessed a loved one who has cancer or who have recovered from cancer. And these stories have things in them. I mean, the last one of this is, "My message of hope to others is." And we're collecting these. They're all going to be bound. We're going to have the opportunity to pass them on to the permanent representatives, the ambassadors. Joseph Goddard is our representative. We're meeting up with them. There will be a formal presentation covered by the media. There will be a sort of banquet in the evening at which all of this will be mentioned again. But the key thrust is the cancer stories, because it's to try to put a human face on what they're calling the cancer voice, instead of it just being statistics and the different types of cancer and the amount of funds that are needed and getting into the pharmaceutical side of it. It's trying to get into the very personal side. And the stories, once you start to read a story, and I've got it in sort of 5 sections that you can fill in, you're absorbed into it right away, because you see what has gone on, the suffering. And so whereas the ambassador might be there in the offices and surrounded by everyone at the UN, the people of Barbados want to remind him, and the people of all other countries want to remind their ambassadors that they are here exposed to cancer on a daily basis, that it has a very personal story, that we really do want to get rid of it. We want it to be annihilated. So these are the ways by collecting the stories. Now, I would like to be able to collect some more stories. I have some, and they will be presented, but it will be an ongoing thing as well, with the stories for the United Nations and for Barbados. So I am asking people to contact us at the Cancer Society.
Do you think that this summit and the focus on it is a change and a turning of the corner in the way that high-level organizations look at diseases? Before, like you said, it used to be statistics and numbers. Now it's the human face. What does this mean for your fight and your work in terms of the focus of these meetings now?
It's very, very important. There is another area that is going on with the International Union Against Cancer, and that later on we're trying to collect emails, because they are trying to get 1 million initially and 2 million, 3 million votes to go there. So as I've said, we're really trying to get through to the human side of cancer and to indicate that it's a disease with a drastic toll, millions of people, including those who suffer as a result of tobacco exposure. And we do need certain things. We need to have technical assistance. We need everyone there to be impassioned who has access to funds, as I said, the World Bank and the American Development Banks. And we need to have certain goals. There are goals which are achievable. One is to make cancer a definite chronic disease by 2012. That is, if you should encounter cancer, there will be treatments that you will have in the same way with diabetes and other things, that you'll be able to continue on normally. We need lots of things. We need better diagnostics. We need pain management. We need palliative care. We need all of these things, and we have to get that over to them through the cancer representatives there. But at the same time, we need to get over to them that we've got heart problems, and we've got diabetes, we've got asthma, we've got other pulmonary conditions that also need help. So we're trying to achieve a lot, but our pressure from the Caribbean is the Caribbean region, and my pressure is cancer organizations and training for doctors, nurses, much better facilities and cancer centers for early diagnosis, more tumor markers, everything that can be done as was done with AIDS, which made an enormous and significant difference.
If someone should be coming down from Mars right now, Dr. Cook-Johnson, and hear you, they would be thinking, well, these are pretty new diseases. Why is it, do you think, that even though they've been around for a long time and they're very debilitating, and cancer has so many different strains and affects so many people, why do you think that it sort of faded away a little bit?
I don't know. I mean, everyone who encounters cancer says this is such an impact on lives of everyone. How is it that other diseases, and we know that AIDS got a lot of attention, but that was an infectious disease, so it had to be capped right away. Things had to be put in place to stop it spreading to all of the countries and affecting millions and even maybe the whole human race. This has been, it's been quieter with all of these chronic diseases, but I think now we're beginning to realize that since they're lifestyle diseases, we can tap it in the bud and change our lifestyle, do our exercise, watch our diet, and then we can have early detection. But it is at a cost. I mean, we always do need funds to be able to come up with the drugs, and the research is enormously expensive. So why that we have finally, I think maybe we have learned from AIDS an awful lot. So thanks to the people who pioneered this pathway for AIDS, because others can now come behind and learn how to deal with these chronic diseases, which perhaps have a little bit more hope insofar as you can annihilate them from the beginning. You can stop them from happening by your lifestyle.
One of the things with cancer is that we continue to hear from doctors that there is really no reason for women in particular who could be affected by things like cervical cancer specifically. It doesn't have to affect their mortality, because there have been strides made so that they can at least have a prolonged life. What do you want to say to individuals about their own responsibility in terms of knowing what's going on with their bodies as early as possible, which is critical for this type of non-communicable disease?
Well, cervix cancer is a very good example, because the incidence rate is probably about, I don't know, about 150 or so every year, and yet the death rate is down, the deaths are down to about 9, which indicates an enormous gap between the incidence and the mortality, which shows that we're doing very, very well. In other cases, you look at the incidence of prostate and the mortality rate from prostate, which is closer together, which makes us realize that we're not doing so well. But why? and it's because early detection is not really a factor
So that's
there.
a behavior thing, do you think, or not so much?
Colin, you could answer that.
Because the women are going to the doctor more often, maybe.
Maybe that might be the case.
Yeah. Individual responsibility has to be a big part of it too, I think.
Definitely. When do you leave for your UN training?
I'm going not this Saturday but next Saturday, and it will just be a few days. It's only about 3 days. And intensive work at the UN, and learning. I'm going to enjoy learning how to present in such a way that it is impactful. And then it will be the meetings with the ambassadors, Ambassador Goddard, and a meeting with everyone else. So doing the networking which is necessary to keep all in contact. But these cancer stories, I would really like people to call at 436-8888, which is the Cancer Society's number, and it's in the telephone directory, and just ask us to send them the outline for how to fill in the story. If people have an email, it's so much easier, because we can email the story, they can fill it in and send it back by email as soon as possible.
So you want the stories from people who may be suffering with cancer, or persons who have dealt with a situation, maybe a relative, that will do as well?
Yes, it is for anyone who has experienced cancer, got through it, had the treatment, and now feels the relief and enlightenment and the sort of thank God I made it and everyone was there for me, and how wonderful it is that I've got through it. I mean, your life is there back again. I guess you never really feel entirely, you're always on the watch. And then for the others, if you have for a child, a man, we don't get very many men stories, we have a number of stories for children. So everyone who has participated in helping someone get through cancer, or who has lost them, and whose lives are different as a result, as mine was, because I had to provide the cancer story as well. Please call the Society.
Dr. Dorothy Cook-Johnson, we wish you all the best in your quest and in your thrust, and I know you're going to represent well. So all the best again. Thank you very much for dropping by this morning, and we will be taking a break and come back with some more on Morning Barbados.
Morning.